Great.
All right.
Well, good morning, good afternoon across the USA and other places, and welcome to our Zoom call today. I'm pretty excited about this call because as we are a family company and family-oriented business, we wanted to bring on our top perfumer. We buy some fragrances from a few other people as we find things, but our core perfume house is our team, Phoenix. And they've become family. Jim has become family with us, and we're excited about the direction and their growth, and they'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I wanted you, our Mia Bella family, to understand some of the things that we do. In later calls, we're going to have our wax people on. We're going to have our FedEx people on because we want you to understand why we deal with people, because they're family oriented. FedEx is a big corporation, but our team at FedEx works with us very closely on making sure that your packages arrive. I know there's issues now with the virus and things, and that'll all clear itself up. But today, I'm excited to introduce Jim and Team Phoenix today, and I'm going to let them get into it. Jim and I have been doing business for many years. Him and I have become very close over the last 4, 5, 6 years, where he was dealing with Joe before he retired from here with some health issues. And Jim bends over backward for us, him and his team. It's incredible. So let me turn it over to Jim and Team Phoenix and let them tell you about their exciting growth curve.
Thank you, Bob. I'm Jim, by the way. I'll do a quick introduction. Across the way is Janine Gaeta. She's our creative director here at Phoenix. Behind her is Carla Ramirez. She's the fragrance specialist. All the way on the end there is Martha Cafro. She's a senior perfumer. And behind me here is Alex Nunez, a perfumer, also someone who him and I built the company together 14 years ago when we started. So I'll get into that a little bit. But as Bob mentioned, him and I have known each other now, a good number of years. And I think the world of him. I think the world of his family. And quite honestly, you're looking at a bunch of people here who dealt with a lot of candles over the world, and we think the world of Bob's candles. I'm a big fan of the wax that he uses and just the way they burn and things like that. And we hope that we can provide the fragrances to match the quality that he produces. So I think to speed things along a little bit, I'll jump right in, Bob, to who Phoenix is, if that's okay. Bob or Kim, interrupt me at any time, but I'm going to come back and forth. Hopefully I've practiced this enough.
You got this.
Okay, I got this. So let me start with who we are. Phoenix. Phoenix rose from the ashes, as they say. Back in 1994, Phoenix Aromas and Essential Oils was formed in Manhattan, and they were a distributor of materials for all applications. And in 2017, I sold a small company that Alex and I started called Ascent Aromatics, and we became under the Phoenix umbrella. And what that does for us is, as I say here, we have the advantage of the raw material sister company that we have. So a lot of our materials are sourced by our colleagues on the aroma chemical side, essential oils, absolutes, natural materials, all come from, a good majority of them come from our colleagues on the ingredient side. It really gives us an advantage in the world when things become very, very tight. And we've all been, those of us here, and I'm sure you guys have felt over the years when things become very difficult to obtain because of crop failure. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, we had explosions at some plants in Germany that greatly affected the industry. Having our sister company at Phoenix Aromas gives us the security to know that we can always get the materials. So that's a really big, we have buyers throughout the world, China, Indonesia, that source the materials directly. And it's really an advantage to us. So our ingredients division sits in a large building in Norwood, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County. And then our fragrance division sits in a building around the corner.
Jim, let me jump in a second, Jim.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be seeing slides?
Oh, boy.
Did she give you just to share?
Sorry, Bob.
No, that's okay. No
Did
problem.
Yeah, I thought we shared, this is what we, my bad.
Yikes.
Hold on, Bob, I'll fix that.
No problem. I'll sing a tune. Is Kylie on here? I'll unmute you if you sing.
Wait, hold on.
Hey, Jesse, nice hat.
How come I can't get back to the Zoom? Hold on, Bob, I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Yeah, I knew when you said, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I know you have
Yeah,
slides for us.
Sorry, we're trying to get the Zoom back up. My apologies.
It looks like a,
There we go.
another share.
I'll share screen. Okay.
No, that's screen. Where's
Maybe,
the,
yeah, to click that or?
Where's the screen? Is this it? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, can you see that now, Bob?
I see an email. I don't think I want to see that.
Can you see that?
Can you see it, Kim?
We're seeing your email.
How can
You are screen sharing.
Yeah, we're not seeing the website that you wanted to share with us.
maybe, yeah, click on that, double click on it, right where you are.
Right.
See
The
where it
way
says
you
digital
already had
brochure?
double click.
Yeah,
There you
There
go.
it is.
all right.
You
All right,
got
so
it now.
I apologize, Bob, I thought we had it all worked out, but I guess we didn't. Anyway, so, again, we have a, with our ingredients division, we have a real connection and a real security blanket. I'll just back up a little bit. So Phoenix, again, is a corporation of 3 divisions. That's where the symbols come from. We have the ingredients, fragrances, and flavors. I'll speed along a little bit here again so we can.
Great. Looks good.
Yep, let me just move on to the fragrance division. So the fragrance division, we do fragrance applications across a wide array of products: home care, air care, personal care, fine fragrances. 35% of our business is 100% all natural. Matter of fact, about an hour ago, we just got awarded a new fine fragrance piece of business, all natural, for a company called Free People, which is pretty exciting for us. So that's our fragrance. Pretty excited about that. Again, we have a 40,000 square foot facility up in Norwood, Bergen County, New Jersey. The 5 of us are sitting in Red Bank, New Jersey, which is our creative studio. And pleased to report we're actually going to be outgrowing this facility and moving next door to a 13,000 square foot facility where we'll hire some more perfumers, enhanced marketing, applications. When I say applications, we put a lot of our products up in base, candle base, lotion base, shampoo. And then moving on, we have a flavor division, which is also up in Bergen County, New Jersey. So we do a lot in the world of flavors. Let me just touch on a big part of our company, big part of our industry right now, and I know it's come up a lot for you, Bob and Kim, is regulatory. Everything we use has got to be tested by the government agencies, bodies that control our industry. And I'm proud to say we have a very, very strong regulatory team. Everything that Alex and Martha create, they have to go through a program that tells them the levels that they can use a particular raw material. If they go too high, it kicks them out. They have to lower it, things like that. So it's a really, really strong program that we have. We're very proud of it. And everything that we test, both incoming raw materials from our suppliers, as well as outgoing fragrances, we go through a five-step process for quality control. before it even gets to you, Bob. So we're pretty proud of our quality record, as well as our very, very strong regulatory department. And we are global. As I say, our headquarters are in Norwood, New Jersey. We have our fragrance division up there, our fragrance studio where we are, and we have our flavor division. We also have Phoenix, UK, which is a complete mirror of Phoenix, US. They have flavors, fragrances, and raw materials. We have distribution in Germany, China, Brazil, and soon to be Colombia and India. So it's a pretty exciting time for us. So that's a background, if you will, on Phoenix. And I'll see if I can do this a little better now. Can you see that still? Nope, okay.
No.
Okay, no problem. Any questions, Bob or Kim, as of now? But I'll go to the next part in a minute.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
And the only thing I want to say to everybody watching is, you know, we had them submit the questions. I think you said you only got a few, but if they come up with questions during the presentation, just put them in the chat and we'll review them after this and send out the responses afterwards. So if you do have them, just put them in the chat and we'll take care of them at the end. After we're all done, we'll send the responses. So thank you.
Absolutely, Kim. Yeah, we're here to answer any questions you may have. Without further ado, I'll move in a little bit to the fragrance workshop that we've developed. And I'm going to have our perfumers and creative team. Make sure, can you guys see that? Or did I screw it up?
No, we need
We're
slides.
still seeing you.
Okay, hold on one second.
I
If you
think
can go back and share, Jim,
Where?
what we did before.
Go ahead, open it up. Click on Bob. Good. We got it, Bob.
Yep.
No, it's over there on the right. Oh,
Yeah, it's in the share, because it, for some reason it disconnected.
okay, I got it now. Yep, we're good, Bob. Takes me a minute, but you know.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Okay,
Just confirm that it's-
you can see that, right, Bob?
See your email again. Not the presentation.
But this
you know
one.
what?
Oh, I think that's your checking account number.
Now double click on the box where it says fragrance.
This?
Yeah.
Okay, we got it.
There you go.
All right, this takes us a minute. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna have the team take over now a little bit. I'll start with Janine, and because she kind of put this together. Again, just to emphasize, the team here, we don't know much, but we know fragrance, because every one of us in this room has built our career in the fragrance division and the fragrance world. So Janine we all worked for different companies at one point or time in our life, and we came together and really taken Phoenix to the next level. So I'll let Janine talk about what she did here in terms of a fragrance workshop. Before I do, what she does with this is how she teaches not only like new employees, but also clients like yourself. When you ask questions about a fragrance, how does it develop? Where does it come from? So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Janine. Let me know when then.
So this is basically a fragrance training 101 course where we just review what a perfumer does, their role, fragrance development, what we do. And it goes over the fragrance categories and we break it down by the categories of the fragrance family and go through materials. And usually it's in a group setting, so we're able to smell together, look at products together. But today we'll just quickly go through the slides and give you like a summary, basically, of what the workshop inquires.
I don't know what that little.
Oh. So this is to explain the perfumer's palette, and the perfumers could just walk you through each one. Just basically really quick, fragrances are made either of natural ingredients or synthetic ingredients, meaning man-made ingredients. And most formulas actually contain both. And we see here that there's essential oils, absolutes, and synthetics. I don't know if we have time to go through each one.
Well, we could
give a
go through
little
them as
summary.
well, yeah.
And usually in the perfumer's palette, there's about 2,000 to 5,000 different ingredients that they could work with within the palette.
Bob, I'll touch on this for a second, because I've seen on some of the questions that you've been approached with, there's essential oils in just about every fragrance that we sell to you. Actually, in every fragrance we sell to you. But you can't have only essential oils. First of all, your price will be $700 a fragrance. And also, you won't have the throw and the characteristics that synthetic aromatic chemicals, they really round out the fragrance and give it that kick that you're looking for. In addition, going back to what I said earlier about the regulatory world, aroma chemicals, the word chemical can have a connotation that's negative, but in our industry, I feel very proud that we're very much regulated by a government agency that controls every raw material that we use. Everything is safe, everything is tested. And so it really is a mix between them all. You can't use, and we'll get into this in a minute, we'd love to use 100% jasmine or 100% rose oil. Well, I don't think you're going to buy a $5,000 pound fragrance, Bob. So, and it also actually won't throw. It won't throw the way you want it to. So that's a little bit about raw materials.
And the other advantage that the synthetics give us is that it increases our palette. So there's, 300, 400 essential oils, absolutes, and concretes. But when you factor in all the synthetic notes that are available to us, and like Jim said, at a much more attractive price point, it allows us to give you something, a little better, a little unique, that performs great, especially in a candle application.
So moving along, this is, the heart of a fragrance, but I'll let Janine take over again.
So this is the structure of fragrance design. As you know, a fragrance, and you've probably seen my top, mid, and dry notes that I write on all the fragrances of yours. So this is the breakdown of it. So the top notes, which are the initial impact of the fragrance, it's your first impression of the fragrance, of what you're smelling. And there are different materials that stand out in the top notes. So aldehydes, citruses, and fruits, to name a few. The mid, or the heart of the fragrance, is really the main character once the top notes flash off. And this gives you an impression where you smell that fragrance and it's true to what you're smelling. And there's, floral C is in the heart of the fragrance, herbs, spices, more fruits. So then we go into the base notes, or the dry down of the fragrance. These are the longer lasting fragrance notes. And these are a little more heavier. So you have musks, woods, some resins, some sweetness, and this gives you a little more complexity to the fragrance.
And one thing we touched on, and we talked about with Bob and Kim earlier, you get comments sometimes. Any candle company gets comments. Oh, this isn't as strong. This is weak. Well, again, the fragrance itself is going to lend itself to that. And as a base note fragrance, the gourmands, the woods, they're going to have a much stronger appeal, maybe not appeal, but longer lasting effect. Not that the fruits and the florals are not attractive, they're just not inherently as strong sometimes as a gourmand. A caramel, I think Bob mentioned caramel pumpkin. Yeah, that'll be very super strong for a long time.
Did I mention that?
And then we'll go into the different categories. Bob or Kim will say, send me a green tea, or send me or something like that. We're working on a Chardonnay right now. So these are the different basic categories that the perfumers work from. And then just to touch on quickly, citrus. Again, a top note, as Janine mentioned. I'll turn it over to the perfumers now to talk about some of the materials that could come when making a citrus fragrance.
Sure, I'll grab this slide. You know, bergamot is pretty interesting to me. Bergamot, most people, you know, just think of it as just a plain citrus, but it's a hybrid. It's you know, it's floral, it's woody, it still has that citrus character. It's actually used tremendously in fine fragrance because of the cost. So it's a little bit restrictive in candles, but there's other ways to get that bergamot characteristic across, you know, when formulating for candles. Mandarin, again, another one of my favorites. It's as you guys know, it's orangey, it's sweet, but it's got an interesting zest to it. You know, it's quite unique, and again, it's you know, when it comes to formulating or you know, candle applications, it's something that's thought about. You know, it's a little tropical, a little fruity, citrusy, but you know, in my personal opinion, I love it, but it's not called out as much in candle fragrances. I think we should do maybe a little more with it. And then the lime is just your classic citrus note. Some people like to think of it as a little candy-like, a little sweet. But again, these three items, tremendous notes for volatility. If you need something to give you some impact, these three are the way to go.
And Bob and Kim and team, remember, this is just a very small snapshot of what they can use. A previous slide mentioned, you know, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 to 5,000 materials that the perfumers are working from. So this is just a very, very small snapshot. This may be a good time at some point, if somebody has a question, you could forward it to me, Bob or Kim, and afterwards, and we can answer, you know, what other materials might be used. Moving on to fruity. These are just, you know, here we get into, I'll let Martha take over, but I'll just say one thing, like apple, there's no apple essential oil. So I'll talk about how you create an apple.
Right, so
I'll let Martha.
I'll do this slide. So apple, everybody knows apple. It's universally liked by everybody. You find it in all kinds of fragrances. It's really popular in like shampoos and hair care and body washes and things like that, because when you're in the shower and in a warm environment, the notes bloom and they come off and everybody likes them. It's like vanilla, everybody likes apple. You put apple into something, you'll notice it's almost always a winner. So we tend to use all different kinds of synthetic apple notes in our fragrances because it brings a nice top lift to our fragrances. Cassis might be something that everyone's not familiar with. It's blackcurrant. It's a very fruity note, obviously. It's unique. We use it not as much as apple, but a lot of times people are looking for like a tropical kind of fruity note that we'll use cassis in, or just something to give it a little punch on the top, a little berry note that is a little different than like a strawberry or a blueberry. Cassis, that's when that comes into play. And coconut, we've been seeing trending for the last couple of years. Again, a really popular fruity note for personal care, meaning anything that you're going to use on your body. Coconut does really well. It's a milder note. It's described as creamy, sweet. You could put it into a lot of different kinds of applications and it rounds out the fragrance and it just makes it sweeter and nicer. And again, something that appeals to the masses. As perfumers, we're kind of looking at that a lot to get a fragrance to be liked by a lot of people. We tend to look for notes that everybody's gonna like. And we keep that in mind when we're creating. So apple and coconut are definitely in that, and cassis is something that's a little more used as a secondary note, but again, it's a good fruity top note.
And Kim, you asked me a question last night, and we get these all the time, Kim, so don't ever be reluctant to ask me that, you have a client who was allergic to coconut oil. And we get these kinds of questions all the time. In this particular case, there is no perfumer, there is no coconut oil like lemon oil. It's coconuts are coconut.
It's a synthetic raw
It's a
material.
synthetic raw material that we come from. So there is no coconut oil. But again, you're going to have people allergic to pretty much everything. So you have to be conscious. Obviously, peanut comes up all the time in every fragrance we do, and every application we do. Moving on to florals, again, these are some of the notes that are used in florals. But again, individually, Bob, Kim, team, jasmine is somewhere around $4,000 a pound right now. Rose could be 12,000 depending on what variety you use. So, but these are some notes for florals.
So when I see this slide, you know, I just think about what Jim just said, and you know, we're always, when we're creating, we're limited by cost. So if you have ingredients like rose and jasmine that are extremely expensive, these are where we like to introduce other ingredients that are, you know, like Janine said, the heart of the fragrance. Like for instance, like jasmine, you could have a fragrance, a candle fragrance that has a good load of benzoyl acetate, which is a extremely nice jasmine note. You can still incorporate a little bit of jasmine in the fragrance. You know, even the smallest amount of any natural essential oil or absolute is definitely going to contribute to the fragrance. But in these particular cases, you know, they restrict us in terms of cost. Rose oil, we could give you a great rose fragrance, you know, with just using just a touch of just rose oil because it's so expensive. Geranium is a little more affordable, you know, but it's not quite the same as rose. It's a little more like minty. It's got like a little more character. But again, these are all building blocks. I mean, these are the original components when, you know, when people start putting raw materials together.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Herbaceous. I'll let Alex take a break and go back to Martha. Herbaceous notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one of my favorite ingredients to create with is basil. So you tend to see that more in you see it in a lot of things, but you see it actually in a lot of men's fine fragrances. Just a little bit to give the effect of something fresh and light and herbal, and it also skews it a little more masculine. But I mean, we obviously use it in a lot of air care fragrances, candles, reed diffusers, electric diffusers, things like that. But a great way to give a fresh note to your fragrance. Sage is another really nice herbal note. It's a little more expensive, so we're limited to certain price points. But again, I personally use that as much as I can with the price I'm working with. And again, it lends to a fresh kind of comforting note that we would add to any kind of fragrance. It's also green too, so it gives that sort of, you know, side of the fragrance. And then mate tea is another herbal note that is a little richer than like a green tea or a black tea. Has more body. It's something that I would use in small amounts because it's as a material, it's almost a solid. So you have to worry about solubility issues when you add it to your fragrance, and making sure it blends well with the other notes. But again, a nice note to add when your fragrance needs a little more body and to give it that tea quality.
Thank you. Moving on, green, which is a very popular topic, subject. So these are items that can form a green note.
Well, the
Cucumber
first,
is huge.
yeah, the first one here, the cucumber extract, it's a material that it's exactly what it is. It's cucumber. It's green. It's fresh. It's slightly melon-like.
Watery.
Yeah, watery, crisp. We like this material. We don't use it as much as we probably should. Again, and this is, as you guys know, this is going to be, or as you don't know, it's going to be a theme here. We're restricted when it comes to cost. So this is a material that's a little bit more on the pricey side. And when, again, on maybe in a skin application or any kind of personal care type of material, you can maybe afford to use a little more. But when it comes to candle, you don't get that kind of an impact from this type of ingredient. When you're looking for impact, the next two, the Galvanim and the Triplau, are extremely powerful, extremely toppy. Triplau is like green and vegetative, almost like a cilantro type note. It's great in in like a pine fragrance when you want to give it like a natural sort of effect. Again, it's used. I know it's a molecule. It's not something that is synthesized. It's not found in nature, but it's again, it's one of those ingredients that are just key on our palate. I would say, Bob, you would find this in 40-50% of your fragrances. Very, very common item. And Galvanim is a natural occurrence. It's green and grassy and rooty. Again, it blends well with other, woody and earthy type of materials like patchouli. It's something that's, rarely called out on its own. But again, it's something that you do find to give it that, that outdoor woodsy, fresh green. It's almost like fresh cut grass, extremely pleasant. But you got to be careful with it. You don't want to overdose something with Galvanim. Extremely powerful.
I think we do a fresh cut grass with you, Bob, don't we? Or we have over the years.
Yes, we have. And that might be something on the table for 22.
Okay. Moving on, spice. Again, pretty powerful family. And let Martha take back over again. Some nice materials in here.
Okay. Yep. So cardamom on the top is, again, one of my favorite spices to use. Cardamom is part of cardamom is eucalyptol, which is also in eucalyptus oil, which again lends it to the fresh top note. If you grind up cardamom pods, you'll notice that it's almost like eucalyptus when you smell it. It brings that note that is instantly recognizable if somebody smells it on the top. I'll smell something and notice right away that it has cardamom. So I will throw that in, again, as much as I can to give it a top note. But again, it's spice, but it's fresh and light. Pepper, there's a bunch of different kinds of peppers, pink, white, black. I think the note here is black pepper, which has an isolate in it called caryophyllene, which is also found in clove and cinnamon, again, other spices. So it kind of lends itself to those along with pepper. But again, everybody knows what fresh ground black pepper smells like. It's a spice. It'll make you sneeze if you smell too much of it. When we smell the oil, that doesn't happen because it's a different effect. But again, a nice bright top, fresh spice note. And nutmeg is another nice note. We tend to use nutmeg in not just spices, but vanillas and gourmands, and especially when we're doing seasonal fragrances, like for the holidays and Christmas, if you want to add nutmeg to that, it helps bring the connotations of warm, spicy, holiday, gourmand kinds of fragrances. But again, nutmeg is used in a lot of men's fine fragrances. It works great in candles and those kinds of applications. So it has like a wide range of uses, but 3 great spice notes here that are always used in our palette.
Okay. Gourmand. And Everybody loves Gourmand, edible, sugar, delectable, comfort.
My favorite.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll have Alex take this fun category.
Yeah, I think, this category is pretty recognizable. If you look at the vanilla there, you see a pod. The pods are, the Vanilla Absolute, I don't know if you guys have been shopping or been around, but Vanilla Absolute is through the roof. So, we like to use a material called vanillin to create this vanilla effect. Vanilla, by far, in terms of candles, they're, I think, Janine, correct me if I'm wrong, it's up there, top 10, 5.
Oh, yeah, as
Everyone loves
favorite.
vanilla.
Yeah,
Everyone loves vanilla.
yeah,
even though-
especially now, what's happened with the pandemic and everything, people have really gravitated towards these comforting notes. And they're so recognizable to the consumer, it makes them feel good and comforting to them.
Right, yeah, it's neutral. It's not like lavender where it's a
Right.
little
like a
polarizing, like
tea,
people
right.
love it and hate it. So vanilla, you'll see a lot of vanilla type notes in a lot of these candles because they are so well liked. Chocolate, I don't know if you guys know this, but again, it's very similar to vanilla. There's actually a lot of vanillin in chocolate, but the top notes are a little different. So we changed the top notes in a vanilla fragrance to, it sounds kind of obvious, but resemble more of a chocolate cocoa powdery, but the base notes of the chocolate and the vanilla are actually pretty similar. Now going to caramel, caramel is it's a note that, again, when we talk about polarizing, that could be one. Some people absolutely love it. I'm personally a big fan of caramel. I love caramel, but in a candle, not so much. I mean,
It's Alex's favorite ice cream is salted caramel, right?
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. But Bob, you mentioned the caramel pumpkin. I love pumpkin, but it is a powerhouse. It's extremely strong. It can fill a room with cold throw, hot throw. And some people like it for those reasons, but me personally, caramel is, it's what it is. It's a burnt sugar, sweet. Sometimes it could resemble a little maple or butterscotch. But in my opinion, it could go either way. It's pretty polarizing.
Okay, heading into the woods. So again, another very popular trend, and I'll have to take Martha back over. Obviously, these are things that are probably recognizable to everybody. So
Yeah.
different woods that they use.
Yeah, so these are obviously the bottom notes now, the things that if you spray perfume on your skin, you're gonna smell it after an hour or so, after the rest of the fragrance is splashed off, you get these kind of notes. So the one at the top, Sandalwood, is obviously like the crown in the jewel in the crown of perfumery. We all love to use it. It's beautiful. It comes from India. Sometimes in the past, there's been supply issues, so we haven't been able to get it, but it's one of those things that's gonna give your fragrance more of a lasting effect in any kind of application you're gonna put it in. It's gonna make your fragrance smoother, stronger, and nicer. Almost everybody always calls out sandalwood, so if we can, we'll use the sandalwood essential oil, but in our palette, we also have all kinds of different sandalwood-like, not essential oils, but materials that we can use that kind of give it that effect. Patchouli, this brings to mind the head shop, the Grateful Dead, the hippie era, the 60s.
You
Patchouli.
know anything about that, Bob, right?
Bob is smiling.
Me?
He's like, I love patchouli.
That'd be me.
Our favorite, apparently. Patchouli tends to be polarizing. Either if you say this fragrance contains patchouli, sometimes people are like, no, take it out, but it does have its purpose. It's needed to build the fragrance up and you need those base notes in there to boost up everything else that's in your fragrance. So patchouli is polarizing material, but it is necessary and it does have a very unique odor. Guaica wood oil is something that we use. It kind of has two purposes. It's a woody note, which is why it's in this category, but it also tends to be, it can go a little rosy if you blend it with different kinds of rose notes. Again, a unique material that if you smelled it, you probably wouldn't recognize it, but in perfumery, we use it as a woody note to enhance a lot of different kinds of fragrances.
Wouldn't it be good for like firewood and that we see trending
Yeah,
in the
so
wood
we
category?
use it in like a
Like smoky,
Yeah.
I don't wanna say bacon-like, but you
No,
get that effect
firewood,
of
like-
smoked embers,
Yeah.
firewoods, and you see that all over
Campfire.
the marketplace, so.
Campfire, fire, yeah, we get that a
so
lot.
that's really
We get
like
that
in
request a
trend
lot,
right
yeah.
now,
Mhm.
yeah.
And vetiver is the last one. It's a very nice woody note. It's an essential oil. It's a little more exclusive in terms of, it's kind of like sandalwood in the upper echelon of that kind of note. So we don't use it as much, but it definitely has another smoky kind of side to it. It's very long lasting. So it's one of those things that you're gonna smell after your fragrance is gone. But it brings a more upscale kind of look to a fragrance, usually used in, again, men's fine fragrances.
Thank you. I wanted to touch on something that Martha briefly commented on in the beginning. Sandalwood and patchouli, for anybody like us that has been in the industry for any period of time, both of them have been subject to severe limitations in terms of sourcing. So going back to my original statement of coming together with Phoenix Aromas, I sell you, Bob, your top fragrance, and it has 10% patchouli. I can't tell you I can't get patchouli. I got to figure it out. So the way we figured it out is having a source, and that source is our aromas division. So it's nice to have the security that at least we can get it. When things get very tight, they get very ugly very quickly. And to have that security blanket as our colleagues really helps. And both of those in 20 years have had some disasters. Let's just say the patchouli went from, I remember back in like 95, when you literally couldn't get it, it went from like $18 a pound to $200 a pound. It was just crazy, crazy times.
So if I can just add a note on the patchouli, just to kind of show you guys how like the fragrance development team and the perfumers interact. You take a material, that was, popular in the 60s. Fragrance development comes up with the concept of, worked on some concept to try to blend some of these materials. So,
Keep it
Janine
modern.
and Carla, they had a
Or
model.
just turn yours off and then we go to mine.
So they say, why don't you come up with something? How about we blend, pineapple like you would have never thought of that would actually blend well, and you come up with something unique, something different, something innovative. I worked with Carla on a pumpkin patchouli. Everyone loves pumpkin, and pumpkin is basically just a blend of spices, but it goes well with the patchouli. So that's how our team interacts with their team, and we come up with these concepts.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that together at the end too. I'll show you the spring, our trends. So last, I think this is last, ozonic.
No, there's a musk.
Oh, okay, two more, ozonic. Again, something that's very popular. Let me just touch on for a second, there's nothing found naturally in nature that's a natural ozonic. So the perfumers have to come up with a palette to make an ozonic fragrance. So I forget what was up. You're up.
So calone is a very interesting molecule. Again, not found in nature, but it adds a nice marine, watery, ozonic. Sometimes when you overdose it, it almost comes off as being like a little briny, salty. So it's one of our favorite materials. There's a handful of marine ozonic type notes, but Cardamom is definitely, also known as Ocean, is one of our favorites. Aldehyde C11, again, on its own, if I give you a blotter, it's fresh, it's crisp, it's clean, it's citrus, but not so identifiable with ozonic, but in small doses, 1%, in a solution or a small amount in the finished fragrance, it can be identified as a crisp, clean, fresh type of note. So I don't know if you guys have seen any of like literature on any of these ingredients. If you smell something pure, it's described in a certain way. And then when you smell it in solution, 1% solution, a 0.1% solution, it has a totally different effect. So these aldehydes are something that can be classified in that category. In dilution, it definitely comes across as crisp and clean. If you overdose it, it comes off as just a strong citrus and waxy.
And then, as they touched on, musk. Musk is an interesting family, because if you were born in the industry when I was born, it was a completely different world. There were natural musks available. Unfortunately, a good majority of them came from animals, and so they were obviously. Goes back to the regulatory part of our industry. Obviously, they can't be used anymore. You had from deer, from beaver, from cat, different musk type notes. So the perfumers have had to move on to synthetic musks to create a very powerful fragrance and a very popular olfactive note. So I'll talk again, send it over to Martha to talk about two in particular raw materials.
Okay. So the second one, Galaxolid, is probably the most prolific musk we use in perfumery. It's probably in 70–80% of fragrances that we create. It's a bottom note, so every fragrance pretty much needs, the top, mid, and dry notes. So we'll throw Galaxolid in there to smooth out the fragrance. If I create a fragrance for somebody and they come back and they say, it's not lasting long enough, it's not big enough on the bottom, it's too piercing, it's there's a lot of different ways it could be interpreted, but when I see that, I think, well, it needs to be rounded out, smoothed out. We talk about that a lot in perfumery. So the answer to that is to add musk, and Galaxolid is probably the most popular one in terms of affordability and availability, and it works well in pretty much all the applications we commonly work in. So I will use that. It tends to be really mild and light. Some people describe it as powdery. Musks come in different forms. Some can be fruity, some can be animalic, some can be fruity, musky, powdery. I think that's about it. Yeah, ambery, like Embradolide, the first one. That musk is a little more upscale than Galaxolid, so I'm going to use that more in personal care applications. If you put these two materials on blotters, to the average person, they're going to be pretty similar in terms of odor, and a lot of people can't even smell musks. A lot of men can't smell musks, so they might think, I'm tricking them, there's nothing on the blotter, when in fact, some of these are really nice things, but we use these kind of materials to enhance the fragrance, to smooth it out, and you need these notes in everything to support the other notes that you have in the fragrance. This is like the foundation that's holding up the rest of what you built on top. So yeah, bottom notes that are good for.
Can I ask a question really quick? Because I know this comes up a lot. You mentioned this is a synthetic. So people, the question is that bad? Is synthetic bad versus natural? How do you explain the difference between that, and what does synthetic mean?
Well, synthetic, because again, Galaxolid is not found in nature, but the molecule was discovered by scientists in our industry to create that musk note. it's a very good question, Kim, but it's a very difficult one for me to answer because I find that I cannot convince somebody that natural does not necessarily mean better. In our industry, we are faced with, and I'm sure you've heard this too, 26 EU allergens. You know, so the European Union came up with these allergens, 26, and they are building block materials in our industry. And we have to, not in the US so much, but in Europe, you have to put them on the label if they're in there, things like that. The ironic thing is these 26 allergens, which have chemical names, are found in nature. So linalool, for instance, is found in basil oil and lavender. It's found naturally. So when you use a natural fragrance, you actually have more allergens than you do if you use a synthetic fragrance. You can a perfumer can work around that. Going back to what I said about regulatory, we are heavily governed. There's an institution that we all follow called the Research Institute of Fragrance Materials, RIFM. They study every material that is used in our industry at levels that are, again, our perfumers have to align with. They cannot just, you know, they would love to be mad scientists, but they can't really. They have to follow the rules that are governed by RIFM and another agency called IFRA that controls our industry. So it's very, very safe, to be honest with you. And if you ask me, I think synthetics actually have some safer aspects than natural fragrances. Kim, let me just touch, even the skin, you know, a natural item on the skin can be very sensitized, you know, can really affect, but a synthetic material that's been tested, tried and true, you know, they know, yeah, this is not going to react to the skin like a natural lavender might or something like that. So, but again, it's part of our business. Again, 35% of our business is natural fragrances, 100% natural. In a candle, they just don't throw as well. That's part of the problem with natural fragrances in candles. Just to finish this for everybody, and Kim, hopefully you'll send this off to whomever you like. We have a glossary here, and this is a little cheat sheet that I use. Has a little bit of it goes into everything from, you know, base notes there under B to blotters, which are these little things here that we all use to smell our oil when we're testing. And then also goes into Shipra and different fragrance types and names. And so hopefully you guys can all use this or feel free to use it when somebody asks you a question. Powdery, you know, rounding out a fragrance, add body. I think Martha touched on that a little bit about galaxolid. So it's interesting what Janine came up here with the little cheat sheet. So I'll get out of here for a second and go back into, let's see if we can.
Yeah, if you guys send me that PDF, I'll make sure I get that posted out in the builders group.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to come back now. And there we are. Yeah,
that's how I shared before.
Yeah. So we'll take a 2-minute break, Bob. I don't know if you or Kim have any questions. I know we'll probably get fielded a lot of questions afterwards. I'm going to move into one, if we have time, move into one more slide section. That'll be a lot quicker, but I'll pause for a second.
Well, you know, it's been great so far. We're learning a lot today. I'm learning some things today, and that we can share with our customers and our distributors. And you know, I'm looking on my desk right now and I go, you know, our company's bottom line from the beginning was we wanted to create the best scented candle out there that burned clean in your home and eliminated 99% of the soot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just picked up 2 candles that I'm burning here, and, you know, this got 50 hours, 40 hours, whatever in it. Here's another one here. And here's another. Oh, this one I can't show you. That's
Why can't you show me that?
You're going to get in
I'm
trouble.
not showing that right now. That's for later. I'll get yelled at later. I'll get told to stay in my lane. And so that's our goal, to create this look that when your customer gets to the bottom of the candle, It still smells good. It burns clean. You're not going to have to repaint your house or get a scrub brush and clean it. That's our goal. And because of a company like yours that takes the time to develop and create these incredible fragrances, I don't know how the hell you do it. I don't know how you go in there and give me an apple. How do you do it? I don't know, but you do. And you do a great job at it. And like I said, we're proud to partner with you on 95% of all the fragrances that we carry. And so that's what excites me. The inner workings of the ingredients, leave that up to the guys that and the girls that handle all that. You give me a product that I'm proud to add to my natural wax and develop that look. That's what I'm excited about.
Okay. You know, Bob, I don't want to touch on some of the questions that are coming up, but one just came up, and it's an age-old question. And I wish you would put more fragrance in your candles. And I think we can both answer that.
You want to touch on that, Jim?
Well, I wish you would too, Bob. But there's two avenues of that. First of all, you put one of the highest levels that, again, I've been in the industry 33 years, that I've worked with. In a previous life, I worked for a company. We were the #1 supplier to Yankee Candle. They put 5%. You guys put a heck of a lot more than that. But also, if you go too high on a fragrance, you're going to have leaching. You're going to have some other problems that are going to arise out of putting too much fragrance in a candle. So the wax can only hold so much. I don't know if you want to comment on that. And then, again, it also can differ. Wow, why isn't my rose as strong as, you would think rose would be strong, but why isn't my rose as strong as my caramel? It's just inherently not as strong a fragrance in candles.
Yeah, we're working with one now that's just going to blow the house out. And I'm burning one at my house right now that's so strong. In my house, when I burn a candle, it goes upstairs and does one room downstairs, but it travels upstairs. And I was laying on the couch, so I was below the candle, was burning on the dining room table, and I could smell it. And Michael walked in, and I said, Michael, I could smell that candle down here. So every fragrance is different, like you said, Jim. And when we started, we did a soy candle. You'll see some of the shirts and hats that I wear. My little collector bunch is soy. Right. And when we first started, we started doing soy, and we put 9% in there. And within a few days, there was a pool of liquid at the top, and I had them in stores. We did not have a network when we first opened up. We put them in some stores, and the guy said, well, there's a liquid on the top, and it just wouldn't, like you just said, Jim, it wouldn't absorb 9%. And so we either had to back the fragrance down or find a different carrier to process the candle. So we started mixing ingredients. So we started with some palm oil and started mixing, and we found out that we loved that better, and we eliminated soy altogether because the palm story was greater than the soy stoil, where soy, from what I understand, kind of ruins the farmland. It's not croppable after that. So the story wasn't as good. Yeah. And the burn wasn't as good, and we can infuse that. We can't put 10% in. It's not going to work. It's too much. Things happen. So we stay at 9%, and we believe we're one of the highest fragrance throwers. As you said to me a long time ago, why are you putting so much oil in there? You don't need to. And I said, because that's who we are, and that's what we do, and that's our brand, and we're not going to change anything. It's always going to stay the same. Some will be stronger, and some will be less fragrance, and that's just the makeup of the fragrance that we're using. So the goal is,
Bob, as far as the melts have a higher fragrance load. Is that correct?
They do, because there's no fire attached to that. There's no flame. If you put 10, 11% of oils in this palm wax, it could catch fire. It has caught fire. So we know where we can go, but in a melt, we could put 12, 13% in there. Now, you guys want 14 or 15, we just have to adjust the price, but we could do that. But I think they're strong enough the way they are at 12%. Nobody puts 12% in their melts, I don't think. And maybe
Yeah, that
maybe
was the
somebody
question,
does.
the comment. Yeah.
Jim would be able to speak to that because I don't follow the competition. I don't care about competition. We are who we are, and that's what has us here for 21 years. So I love competition, but I don't care how they make their candle. I know that ours will do this, and it'll be clean, and it's not going to affect your heating ducts and your furnaces and your walls. And after 21 years, it still works for us. But Jim, maybe you could comment on companies that you sell to that are candle companies that have melts or pods or whatever they call them, and the amount of fragrance that they use in theirs. I know you speak with all these owners around the country.
Yeah, the average, Bob, is somewhere around 5 to 7%, maybe high. That's the average. You know, the supermarket candle people, they use as low as 3%. Some of the, real exclusive, let's say, the $100 per candle price, they may use 12%. But in general, I think you're on the higher end at 9%, without a doubt. And, we found, again, the palm story is a great story. I completely agree with what you're saying. The literature you shared with me and Charlie shared with me years ago about that it's not a deforestation of the rainforests, and it's actually helping the economy in those regions. Is a great story. The story, I agree, has some issues. The soot problem is something that's been prevalent for years and years and years. I think what you're building or what you've built is incredible. It's a great candle, really
Thank
is.
you. On a side note, with the palm wax, there is an odor to the palm wax. So that's why we add more fragrance in there to kind of hide the fragrance of the wax. It's not like paraffin, it's just it's motor oil, So
let's move on, Bob, if I can.
Yep, absolutely.
One final segment I have here, and looks like I actually did this one right for once. No technical.
You go, Jim. You're going to be a pro.
Hold on, 90%. What's that?
You're going to be a pro.
I'm going to be a pro at this. I can join every meeting now.
See it?
And look at that. You can see that?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like Bill Gates now. Anyway, so what we do, we take all of this and we take what we know to be popular and trending and things like that. We are a team. I'm going to let Janine and Carla take over for a minute. But we're a team and in our industry where you have to be 1 or 2 seasons ahead. So what you have on the screen right now is actually something we did 1.5 years ago before coming together with Kim anyway. Bob and I were still building the Mia Bella brand and getting that back on track, right, Bob? So we were not doing too many new fragrances at the time. We were building what he had. But this is a big part of our company where we look at trends and develop fragrances off of those trends. And I'll touch on, after Janine and Carla are done, what they do and then how they take the trends and work with the perfumers. So this is 2021 spring summer, last year, technically, even though we're in it right now, this was really presented last year.
So the way we gather all this information together, we actually work with 3 marketing consultants, and we use sources such as Fashion Snoops, WGSN, Mintel, all types of data, is given to us through those. We also use trade publications, Pinterest boards. I'm a big magazine girl, so we're looking through these magazines, HGTV, Gifts and Deck, which just gives you what's happening in home decor. We watch color trends. Carla, she studies old new market launches, right? So she's on Instagram and all that fun millennial stuff just to track everything. Food and beverage, of course, we're in flavors, so we go to the flavors, the flavorists. You know, I'm always talking to them, chatting with them, finding out what new flavors are happening and trends. And then we gather all that information and we condense it and put it into this final setup and break it down into 3 concepts. So for last year's, which is this year, which is 2021, you know, we were studying this last year at this time. We broke it down into 3 particular concepts that fit our client and consumer behavior. So the first one, conscious craft, which is all about, like, we just wanted a trend that spoke to like this sanctuary, you know, a little more calming and soothing, very minimal because of what was happening in the world at this time last year, even though it's still happening a year later, but so we talk about consumer and lifestyle, what was going on in that. The next slide shows a little bit of like a color palette. So you can see everything's a little muted and it's like this quiet luxury, but keeping it again, a feel of this escapism and calmness. This is all beauty and fashion. So we watch what launched in the beauty industry, as well as fashion, takes the textural pieces of fashion and, you know, how does that translate into fragrance? And then we show product inspiration. So we watch everything from specialty all the way down to grocery and mass market, just to get an arrangement of what's launched. And then, and then olfactive, like this is breaking it down even further to say, okay, olfactively, what represents this concept? So everything from gourmands to woods to light and airy and like this luxe comfort of what we're seeing.
And then I think before we move into the next category though, and then so you'll take all of this and you'll go to them.
Yeah, so then what happens is once we have all this marketing and all this information, we actually will sit with Perfumery and present this to them and then ask for concepts of what they think they could do and what we see trending and bring it all together. And then we come up with like a core collection of fragrances, but really our goal is to customize for our clients and fit into their brand of what is expected and what will be a nice showing for your brand, you know, and what the consumer would like for your brand.
Yeah, and Kim, this is especially important for you guys with the number of fragrances you have and the fragrances that you know you want to launch. You also don't want to compete with yourself. So Janine and Carla do a lot of gap analysis. They'll work with Miabella. Hey, we think you're missing this particular note in your palette, and you know they'll try to tie that in with the same presentation that they're working on. They do a great job when it comes to gap analysis, what you might be missing. And then so this is just another category from last year's summer play.
So summer play. This was all about optimism.
Yeah.
You know, like now everybody's back at home, you know, nest is best. Like that was the whole concept of like, okay, we're not gonna go traveling, but we're gonna have a backyard party with just the 3 of us together. You know, so a lot of like thinking of, you know, how to enjoy and just enjoy the time with family and being home, but in a positive way. So again, we repeat everything and break it down to give you an idea and some examples of what's happened in the marketplace and let you know it's okay to get ready to launch something that you might be scared or reluctant because you're not sure of how the consumer or your client will want to take it or will they understand it. So we just want to make sure we get that message across to you that it's okay to be ready to launch a super fruit or a unique fruit that, you know, you have your strawberry, but maybe you could use an elderberry and it's okay. It's going to be safe and recognizable to the consumer. And then again, the olfactive categories, this is all about escapism, fun, juicy cocktails, the great outdoors, Americana, electric summer. This is just playful, solar florals. So that becomes more fantasy. Oh,
Sorry.
and then last, no, it's okay.
Oh, I'm gonna go too fast, sorry.
No, it's fine. New nature. This is all about focusing in on wellness and, what's good for you as far as ingredient driven, right? Like everybody knows about ingredients and we'll ask about, what's a hero ingredient happening now? Plant-based, that was a big thing last year, a boom that was coming out. The green category that we touched upon in the training before, growing category, it's a must-have to have in your lineup. Green fragrances are like trending, they still are. And just about clean beauty has come out, botanicals. So this is just the eco-friendly, outdoorsy. So you could see Clean with Sephora, that was a big deal. Exhausted the marketplace. And this show is all about herbaceous comes into play, the whole tea story. That's why we had the mate in the training, because that's very trending and relevant in the marketplace in this. Very gender neutral, this category is. So it continues to grow. And we see it even now going forward for the next year coming up. Okay, yeah, herbals, greens. That's a little snapshot.
And I just want to be clear because I'm getting all these new fragrances, guys. This was last year's presentation. So
Hold
this
on.
is just giving you an example of what they do, what they'll show to us. Yeah. So it's just an example, but this is what I used to do in our previous company. And you have where they do all the work for us so that we know what's coming up. But knowing that I just joined last year, they didn't have this last year. So we will have it moving forward to help us make decisions with fragrances for next year, just so you know that we already have our fragrance lineup for this year. But just so you know, this is what helps us to make the decisions and make the right decisions.
I guess our goal is to have a new fragrance every month. And at the end of the year, we eliminate the bottom feeders and say, they're going to be some of your favorites, but unfortunately, we have to make room in the building for new ones and inventory to keep the company solvent. We want to be around. We're not leaving.
Yeah, if you love it, sell it.
Yes, we'll introduce new things all the time because Jim keeps sending samples. They just keep coming. I don't even ask for them. They keep coming.
Well, that's what we do, Bob.
That's
Bob,
what we do.
Bob, you might want to turn off your screen for a second because I'm going to share one more thing.
Okay, I'm with you. Oh, here we go. Spring, summer 2022.
Or whatever. So this is what Kim and I are going to work with now.
Oh,
and
boy.
spring, summer 2022. We're not going to, this is just a little,
We're giving Bob heartburn.
Yes.
basically, we're gonna ask you to stay tuned, and what's inside, just stay tuned, and we'll let you know what's inside. It's coming.
We're excited for that. We really are, because we want to
Yeah.
come up with a great fragrance every month and something new, and do some fun things that Kim's putting together with some of the leaders on these one deal shots of 1,000 jars or 500 jars with a great label, and just lots of things to keep our business fresh and alive out there for all the people out here, all of you guys, to go out and share with your customers. It's about calling them saying, you're not going to believe what we just got. It's something new or something recreated with a beautiful label. And I'm excited for the future, guys. I really am.
Yeah. And Bob, let me touch on Janine and Carla. Carla doesn't speak. I mean, I keep trying to get her to talk.
Well, you know what? I was just about to say, man, come on, Carla, step up to the plate.
She's wonderful. She's called a fragrance specialist, and it's exactly what she does is really dive in to what's happening out there and to really study, as Janine said, the social trends, the Instagrams, the all of it.
Can we hear from Carla for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
So I've been with Phoenix for 1 year now, and I work very closely with the perfumery team that we have, as well as our sales team. And as projects or briefs come in from the sales team, we work closely together to create fragrances that fit the customer's brands, their needs. Another thing that I do is I work on gap analysis for brands, and like Janine was saying earlier, I try to find the missing gaps within the customer's brand so we can offer them new ideas olfactively. And then also I am always in the stores, I'm on social media, I am always watching like what's launching on the market. And yeah, so that is what I do on a day-to-day here at Phoenix.
So what I was going to touch on, Bob, was, and everybody for that matter, Kim especially, we showed you 2 spring, summer. We do a fall, winter, a holiday, and then we also do custom design for you, So we're happy to sit with you. I'll bring Janine and Carla up sometime, and whenever we can get your team out, or you've talked about maybe doing your old conventions again someday.
As soon as this clears up, we're having a big one.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple of them, actually.
Okay.
Well, if we're nice enough to be invited, Bob.
You'll absolutely be invited.
But it's a good place to really dive into what we can also do specifically for you, and then we're happy to do it, and we want to do it.
Listen, on behalf of Kim and everybody here at the home office, thank you guys for making us a better company. Because without
Absolutely.
people like you to help us, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for making us better.
No, thank you, Bob. It's been, we all have our good days and bad days, but, and I'll just say this to everybody I have enjoyed every minute of working with Bob and Charlie and the team up at Mia Bella's. They are just the greatest people in the world. They really, really are. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and not just from a business standpoint at all. It's a real family organization. We're a family here, and I'm really proud that we're a part of something that's so exciting right now.
We're so excited. 99% of the US has no idea who Mia Bella is. That makes the back of my hair stand up like you wouldn't believe, because I know what's out there for people and to build their business. And it's exciting because I'll match our product up to anybody's.
Well, again, we're good. Unless anybody, any other specific questions?
Yeah,
again,
we'll get you some questions over, Jim. We went a little long, but that's okay. It was a great call. Thanks everybody for taking time to be on this call, to get a little knowledge of some of the people that we work with to bring these candles to you. We're going to do some more of these. We're going to do them with our, I'm trying to get the wax guy. He's not a public speaker. But I want him to tell the story because it's powerful. And like I said, then we're going to get FedEx on here. They got some great new things happening at FedEx. Right now, there's some issues going on with FedEx, UPS, and Postal as far as employees with the virus and not coming in and shutting down little areas. It's crazy, but I believe it's getting better. And so we're going to do more of these because we want you to see who we deal with so that you'll understand. From our box people to our WIC people, I'll start doing more of these, and you'll learn a lot more about us. So I'll end it. Kim, anything else you want to add? Anything you want to?
No, I love it. I love it
today?
because I want to say that the majority of companies are never this open and transparent with their field. So I hope that you all appreciate what he's doing, because a lot of companies are very secretive about what they do. So this just shows one more great thing about this company, that Bob, you're willing to be so transparent with all of us. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great day. We'll see y'all Friday because I got some great news happening. Kim won't let me say it today, my nickname is Rubber Lips. But I want to do this right now, but I'm not allowed. So that's Friday, right, Kim?
Well, that next Friday is what you're talking about, but we still have more fun
we
news
gotta
on
do it
Friday. We always
sooner.
do.
Kim,
so.
we got to do it sooner. I'm telling you. I'm smelling
You're
this.
killing me.
We got to let this out. Jim, Team
Oh,
Phoenix, thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise, and thank you for making us a better company. Guys, have a great day. Thanks for your business and your support and believing in our company here. Cheers. See y'all Friday.
All right, take care, guys. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.